What's up, everybody watching on their computer, smartphone, tablet, or their TV? This is Andy, and welcome back to another edition of Andy Plays. Okay, so we are back at it. Another Madden gameplay, but this time we're doing Madden 23. Well, we're doing the demo because, again, I can't get the full version of the game until likely my birthday, and then November we'll likely do a full gameplay. But we're doing the Madden Legacy game. Yes, this is on the PS4. So this is just a quick demo play, I guess, of it. Yeah, guess we can do even teams, and I guess we'll get started. So guess the way that this works, I'd have to purchase the full game in order to, I guess, get the full experience. So at least now I won't have to download it and then, oh, well, this is, I just have to download a patch or something. But yes, we're going to play the demo that was available for a couple days last week. Here we go.
This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland. Our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the.
You heard this correctly. This is the John Madden tribute game.
Truly larger than life,
and I'm going to get to play it. I'm pretty excited in honor of John Madden, the man who made this new franchise the way it was. Pretty excited.
And coach himself will be on the sidelines for
I'm going to do the NFC
to motivate his guys to victory. I'm joined now by my good friend Charles.
This is pretty exciting.
CD, your thoughts
you get a new
on
stadium
John
this year,
and what he meant to the sport he loves so much.
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy.
So
he brought that to the game of football, brought the game to so many people.
Look at that. I think there's old Madden, and then there's younger Madden, and then there's older Madden.
You're always going to think John Madden.
Yep. Okay, here we go.
The Coliseum back to its original 70s glory. What a scene in the East Bay. And we're underway in the John Madden Legacy game. And out a little across the 25 to the 27.
Graphics don't look that bad. I mean, it could be worse.
So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL, and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
Hey!
Throwing to start the drive, but that one incomplete. So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this is where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High. Eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, he drafted 30 rounds then.
But Charles, you mentioned coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles. With quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Norm Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings.
And I got the first down.
I think Coach
Good job by Brett Favre.
For teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach. The guy could throw it around pretty well.
After the incomplete pass, here now is 2nd and 10.
He's mad didn't fix that.
They go back to the ground with Sanders. They do get a couple, but they'll be left staring at a 3rd and 8 coming up. Well, Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best.
There we go. I knew Jerry Rice would get the big play.
And they move this all the way down to the 9. They're able to convert on 3rd down, and that sets up a 1st and goal.
Things are looking pretty darn good on this first drive, aren't they? Came right out, set the tone. This time with a big pass play.
And if the peek behind the curtain that they gave us or their game plan, I don't think that's going to be the last one we see.
I think you're exactly right about that.
Wow. I'm going to say
the chain gang hustling to catch up. Here's 1st and goal from just inside the 10.
I really am looking forward to playing this game.
They'll run with Sanders. And he'll take this from the 9 down to about the 7.
The problem is with my economics.
Here's where we need to see some tenacity from this defense because they've been pushed right down the field on this opening drive. They've got to find some way to push back, and that's a good first step.
So we're through one at the Coliseum in Oakland. 0-0 our score. This is the John Madden Legacy game on EA Sports. Now a second down throw for the end zone, but it's incomplete.
They certainly did a nice job improvising there, extending the play, hoping someone would come open downfield, but they never did.
They'll look to throw on 3rd and goal. The quick slant caught. That pass play good for 7, but it still brings up a 4th and goal.
What's my bench? Can I see who's on my bench? I'm kind of curious. Let's find out. All right, we got Joe Montana. We got this guy. So Montana and this guy. Not too thrilled about this option.
So much about offense is what you call hidden yardage. You know, you throw the ball to someone, they catch it, and then they can make a big play. You know, they create a play, run after catch. They did a really nice job of limiting that and keeping them from a 1st down.
Yeah, stopped him in his tracks. They'll run with a fullback.
And we got the touchdown.
And he's in. Touchdown NFC.
Good job.
Kyle Juszczyk taking it in from a yard out. And the NFC takes it all the way down the field.
That's amazing.
Their opening drive.
That is amazing. I am so happy.
Well, that drive felt like it took up an eternity. We finally have some action on the scoreboard.
Yeah, but plenty of action prior to, because that drive took up all the first quarter before we spilled into the second, and finally, points were registered.
On the other sideline, they're chomping at the bit just to get the football. Extra point by Anderson, up and good. And it's now a 7-0 game.
Here we go, Madden. Here we go.
Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away.
I said, definitely big graphical improvement.
And Hall not going to bring this one out. So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in the conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came on late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36-16-2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Try his numbers on for size. So 10 seasons as a head coach. The Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root, as did the expression commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stable, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Bolitnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the Mad Stork himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrunk, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
On is the Hall of Famer Ray Guy to punt this away on 4th down. He steps into this one, and this is a rocket. And this will hit just beyond the goal line as it's into the end zone for a touchback. The NFC offense coming out here, and you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line
Oh,
where one of the players was telling the coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. And every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game.
Arm got hit.
Picked off by Stephon Gilmore. So after the INT, it's Brady. Pressure applied, and he's going to be taken down. They sack him back at the 33-yard line. Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, the Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. But might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
So, Charles, they get to them with their first turnover of the game and then make it hurt a little bit extra with a field goal.
And anytime you give the ball up, what's the first thing a coach tells his defense? Don't let them score off of this. You got to put out the fire. In fact, in 2021, that's what one NFL coach termed his defense. The firemen. Go out there, guys, and don't let them put some points on the board.
The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. And with a 7-3 lead, we'll see how aggressive they want to be. On the run, he'll let this go deep right side. And it'll be incomplete. Good job staying with him defensively. And it'll bring up 2nd down.
The offense schemed going 5 wide, trying to create a chance for the big shot, and they took it. If he comes down with that one, that's a huge offensive swing. But credit the defense with a nice play, knocking that one away.
On 2nd down, Favre. Now he'll let it go on the run. Deep left side. And that's going to be incomplete. Good effort there trying to take a shot, but it's 3rd down. And unless this is a quick incompletion, this is likely the last play here of this first half. Flushed out right. Well, coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley.
This is going to be very special.
What comes to mind when you hear the name Madden? Is it the coach who led the Raiders to their first Super Bowl victory? Perhaps it's the broadcaster who entertained millions of fans. Or maybe it's the video game, known simply by his name. But no matter what comes to mind when you hear the name Madden, everyone thinks of one thing: football.
The core of it was football. It's the greatest game in the world. The left goes to the right goes to the left.
Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. John Madden goes on the shoulders of his players.
In my mind, John Madden is the most important figure in the history of professional football. Show me somebody else who did it on 3 levels the way John did it. There's nobody.
Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducted coach in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. The second half forthcoming from Oakland. The offense for the AFC set to go now. Charles, it'll be interesting to see what adjustments this offense made in the locker room. Haven't really been able to get anything going offensively, virtually nothing in the ground attack either. So certainly something has to change here in quarter 3.
And I'm pretty sure their friends from the defensive side of the ball told them exactly that, because those guys, the stop troops, they've been playing pretty well. They've kept them around in this game. Now they got some time. The running game struggled in the first half. Opposition knows how to focus on defending the pass here. They've got to re-energize that ground game and maybe open things up for a comeback here in this half.
Over the middle, he's got Tim Brown. And he slips up past the 45 before being tackled. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
Here's Allen. And nothing much materializing there on the first down run. He'll get a couple, and that's it. The last run got a couple. Here's 2nd and 8. Throwing now is Brady. He finds his man, complete. It's Gonzalez. So 5 yards here, 5 on the play. And now it's 3rd and 3. Now the NFC going to use a timeout. And as the two teams talk it over on their respective sidelines, we take a break. And this should be the final play before the quarter ends. They'll try and pound it with a big back Bettis. And he'll go down, and that will do it for the 3rd quarter of action. So through 3 quarters of the John Madden legacy game, it's the NFC Stars and young Coach Madden on top. And we'll be back to the Coliseum after this. And he can't find anywhere to go with it. And he goes down. Jack Youngblood. Give him the credit for the sack and a loss of 14 yards.
Okay, I'm not sure you could actually draw up a better pass rush than that one right there. Nowhere to go outside. He had to keep backing up and backing up and backing up. Eventually dropped for a huge loss.
So after the sack, a scenario you certainly don't work on too often. 2nd and 24. A quick throw knocked away. It's incomplete. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
The roughing the kicker called on 4th down. What a big break. Leads to a 1st and 10. Now Allen. And effective running here. He'll take it down inside the 10. 2nd down from the 8. They can get a 1st down by reaching the 5. Now Brady. And he'll go down. Brought down at the 20-yard line. The sack that time by Michael Strahan.
And the passing game's been struggling a bit today, and that was the latest example. Haven't been getting much yardage out of it, and now on his back after the last play, he faces 3rd and long.
So the AFC with the football as we welcome you back. They face a critical 3rd down now, needing a score here in the late going. Now here's a look for the end zone, but that one's going to wind up incomplete.
This would be the game right here. Just run the football and run a couple of plays.
They'll run for it. This is Allen. And this is going to come up well short as they stop him on 4th down. They had to go for it with such little time remaining, and as a result, possession switches hands. So they finally get their first trip to the red zone, and it ends with nothing.
And that's what I'm going to focus on with you because you teed it up really well. Finally get to the red zone. So there's got to be a little bit of frustration because they haven't moved the ball as well as they wanted to all game. Now they get there, but we got to go for it because we don't know if we can get back here again. We don't know how many opportunities because they've been sputtering a little bit.
Absolutely. At this stage in the second half, to get there and not get it for the first time, tough. That one looks like he'll throw here. Throw left side, complete to Moss. Now the AFC going to take a timeout. It's their 2nd as they'll head to the sideline and talk over what to do next.
So I'm going to try to run it with Sanders.
Another yard would probably put this thing in the books. It's 2nd and 1. Up the middle they go with Sanders. And he'll get it into enemy territory just across midfield at the 49. Now the defense will burn their 3rd and final timeout. And they'll be disappointed to have to burn one there after giving up the 1st down. And they take a knee. As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you're talking about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him. And now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the old Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
And he is going to have the 1st down, and that is going to suck the life right out of this crowd. It's a gain of 6, and that ought to just about do it. Well, this has certainly been special. And, Charles, as we wind down toward the end of this John Madden legacy game, your final thoughts?
Well, let's face it, partner, it's going to be hard to overestimate the impact that he made, not just on the sport of football, but on his family, friends, players, co-workers, and in the lives of millions of Americans who watched him. There will never be another John Madden. I don't know about you, partner, but watching them take the knee there and finish this one off, I feel like I'm going to be sore tomorrow. This was one bruising affair, low scoring, but my kind of football.
Not a work of art. but maybe in your
That
world,
was loud.
a little bit of a work of art.
Demo.
You like the defensive
Oh, we're
side.
stuck with
I
it.
thought it was pretty. I can't help myself. I thought it was pretty.
And it ends in a kneel
Oh,
down.
boy.
So it's a win
What
here
else
for the
can I say?
NFC. Just an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden.
What
And
else
before we
can I
go,
say?
one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.
Wow. That was amazing.
I just say this, I thank you all very much. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.
Really remarkable. So, with that, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you all very much for watching. Andy plays each and every Sunday. Again, that was the demo of Madden 23. We're going to conclude this. Thank you all very much for watching. And until the next one, please take care.